it worth it? Is it for the future? The family. I want more. I want freedom. I'm purpose driven for equality. You're gonna know my name. I'm still the same. Ain't nothing changed. You're gonna know I am good. Respect me and my legacy. And I wish you would Google me, read my story. You're gonna know my name. Is it for the future? The family. I want more. I want freedom. I'm purpose driven. Welcome to the face behind the brand. Episode 135. Hope everybody is good. Google me, read my story. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to the face behind the brand. I am your host, Monique Marie, and you are the incredible Bay Area recording artist. You know, I have to start there. I'm just excited. A multi-instrumentalist, okay? That's very important to talk about. A model, okay? We have a model here tonight who has been exclusively in incredible magazine publishing, I should say, published in magazines, Vogue, Elle Official, and you named it, and we're going to talk more about that tonight. Tonight, we are welcoming Christopher KENJI. Welcome, 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 King Christopher. How are you tonight?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. You know, I have to bring you into an incredible sound, and a sound that I've discovered that I love so much. WAY MIRROR, produced by yourself, composed by yourself, and of course, performed by yourself.
I appreciate it. Yeah.
This is available on all platforms. Incredible sound. I'm not going to play the whole sound, of course, because I want everybody to go run it up themselves. This is an amazing, amazing song. Listen. I love that. So you know I can't let everybody hear the rest of it because, again, it would be unfair. It would be it would be unfair. So I'll stop there. How was your day today? I know you just got back from a long trip, so we'll start with today and as much as you can share with us about coming back from Southern Cal.
Yeah. Let me see. I feel like nowadays I try to give myself like, I'll work, and I found the importance of just taking like some parts of some days and just where I don't really have to do anything.
Yeah.
Today was a little bit of a rest day, but I did work out and I did see good friends who's leaving for Florida, and so just hung out and, you know, had some time for me, and yeah, it's been a good day so far.
Well, I'm just excited to have you here. Of course, as I shared with you earlier, I would have never met you and even discovered your sound if it wasn't for, of course, an amazing friend of the show, Sam Ree, of course, also Bay Area. Got to give a shout out to Sam Ree for turning me on to this incredible, incredible artist, Christopher KENJI. So let's take me back, because of course, for people that don't know where you're from, where are you from originally?
I'm actually from the Bay Area. I lived outside. I lived in Boston for 4 years, and I lived in Nashville, Tennessee for a year. But yeah, I'm born and raised in the Bay Area.
Okay. And so who in the family, if anyone, who has this amazing talent? Because your voice is incredible.
Oh, thank you.
And of course, the arts comes from who?
I would say my mom's like, she does a million zillion different things, and I feel like she's one of those people who's just good at everything, and I aspire to be
Yeah.
to be even, somewhat of that. But she always had like a really natural knack for painting and making art. I remember she did that when I was a little kid. She doesn't really do much of that anymore, but and my dad, he played drums in a band in high school
Wow.
with buddies. But I mean, neither of them neither of them really, do much in the musical or artistic realm, really.
Yeah.
But I feel like I got to give them, credit where credit's due.
Yeah, absolutely. Because it comes, it's all the right side of the brain, as one would say,
Yeah.
it's good to have, of course, that analytical side, but I think that creative side is just powerful because, again, as I was saying when I brought you in, you're a multi-instrumentalist. So, talk about every single instrument, the voice. What else?
Yeah.
What else do you play?
I had a lot of free time as a kid.
Yeah,
I guess.
I know the guitar.
It was kind of like before there's phones and there's internet and all that stuff. There kind of was that stuff, but it's not like it was today. There's no smartphones, and so I feel like I just spent most of my time just I got really, really into playing guitar, so I play that 6 hours a day, and that's where it all started. I initially just wanted to be like a guitar player in a band, and that was really my dream, and then all this other stuff kind of happens sort of over like a period of many years. But guitar was like my first and foremost my first love.
Yeah.
And so I would just play guitar for like 6 hours a day every day, so just because I really enjoyed it. I always had music, like rock music, playing in my house. My dad loves rock music, and so I always had that playing. And drums, I think I actually talked about this on some other shows, like podcasts, but my brother, since it was good for me to play, like my dad got me a guitar for my birthday one year, and that was a really good investment because instead of playing video games, I'd be playing guitar all the time. And so let me do that for my brother. And so he did that, and my brother played drums like a little bit for like a week or so, and then he kind of, forgot about it.
Yeah.
And so I was like, all right, maybe I should mess around with this and teach myself some stuff. And my dad actually did teach me some basic
Really?
And and then from there I would just play because that was back when the iPod Classic just came out, so that was like that was a while ago. And he let me use his iPod, and I would just put it on, and I would just play drums to a few songs every day. I played to Toxicity by System of a Down, Weezer, Beverly Hills, and Cold Hard Bitch by Jet.
Wow.
Those are like my 3 songs I play every day after school.
Yeah.
And then drums, I kind of I played in a few different bands and rock bands and throughout high school. With that, bass, I kind of if you're a guitar player, you can by sort of the technical definition play bass. It's like the first 4 strings guitar, but that doesn't necessarily mean you'll think like a bass player. So I guess like I played bass for quite a few years, but didn't really start playing bass until I started recording it on my own music.
Yeah.
And from there, I guess it's just kind of one of those things where when you have visions for songs and you're the artist, you're like, I feel like it needs this, and then even if your skills aren't necessarily like the best at it, you'll be like, okay, I'll write out this part or I'll figure this out and just mess around until something sounds good. So that's kind of like bass.
Yeah. Yeah.
Singing, yeah, I mean, that came way later. So I started singing maybe like 10 years after I started guitar. And I told myself, I was like, I remember there's so many different scenarios where people are like, oh, like you play guitar, but like, can you sing? And I was just like, no. And that was like a hard no for me. That was
Oh
like,
my God.
I don't know. I kind of grew up as a shy kid, and I didn't necessarily like the spotlight.
Yeah.
I liked being like, you know, playing guitar and being in the band and soloing and whatever, but like, I don't know. I guess I kind of just grew into it, and that came out of necessity because I was, like, I would write all my own songs, and then I would have to rely on someone else to write melodies or lyrics and complete my songs. And I was like, okay, I just want to be like passable at singing, so I can do
Yes.
my own
Not
stuff.
having to depend on anybody.
And that's really the reason why I, like you said, I produce everything myself and mix it, and you know, just do it's not because it's like, well, yeah, it's because I learned how to do all that stuff, so I didn't have to rely on anyone else. I'm like, all right, I can get this done, and I can do it my way, and not have to expect someone to read my mind to get it done exactly the way I want it to be done. But then
Yeah.
eventually, I got really, really into each one of those things. Like I got really into singing, and I was like, okay, I want to be like a good singer. I really want to be like, you know. And then same with producing, you know, mixing my own music. I was like, I really got so into the production world, and it's kind of like one of those things you just get. For me, I get like obsessed with things, and I just go really hard.
Now, did you have vocal coaching or vocal training or any type of music theory or education?
Yeah,
I know you went to Berkeley, so talk to me about a little bit of your education.
yeah. So for the longest time, well, playing guitar initially, I had guitar lessons to kind of get me the basics.
Mm-hmm.
And then I kind of stopped taking lessons for many years and just taught myself a lot. Like I would learn by listening to other artists or learn guitar solos that I loved. And so a lot of that was self-taught. And then when I got to or a little bit before Berkeley, I started like learning about music theory. Like I knew the basic things, like, oh, this is like an A minor chord, or oh, this is G, or this is like the difference between like certain things. But then, yeah, music theory, that was very much. I got my grounding a lot more with it at Berkeley. And for singing, I actually started singing with just really zero training at all, and I sang, I guess, for probably 6 or 7 years without ever having a vocal lesson. Like I watched YouTube videos and stuff. Like,
Jesus.
I knew there's like basic things. I was like, you're supposed to breathe through the diaphragm. If it hurts, you're doing something wrong. Don't do that. But
Right.
it wasn't. That was a, you know. And so I got a little bit of singing coaching at Berkeley. I had one vocal teacher who helped me a bit. Yeah, definitely kind of all these holes and sort of like in my foundation. I that helped clear it up, and she also helped me realize that I can sing high, because I also said like I can only sing low. I have a low speaking voice. Like there's no way I can. And she kind of like started to get me out of that.
Yeah.
We only met like once a week, and for a short period of time. But then I didn't really have anything until last year. Actually, I started taking vocal lessons for another period of time, and that actually was one of the main things that really revolutionized so much of what I do. It opened so many new doors and broke down barriers, and yeah, I really credit my vocal coach to that. And so that was super, super helpful. And also, like, there's a lot of things that you can hear and you can do, but there's some things that you wouldn't necessarily be able to do them just by hearing them, like people, you know, screaming or something.
There's a technical way of getting there and understanding the difference between the head voice and you know.
And the way your anatomy works, like sometimes singing really high, or like people will think, I don't know, it has to feel like this sort of sensation in your throat when it's a completely different sensation. Like, or it'll feel like a very small part of your voice sometimes for sounds that are really big sounding.
Yeah.
It's hard to describe, but
No, I totally get it. And I it's
I
funny
mean,
because,
you're a vocalist, so I'm sure you know
well, I
too.
mean, I'm not, like perfect. I mean, obviously we both
I'm
watched.
not perfect either.
You're good though. You're great. Actually,
That's what I do.
even though, like, we watched you, up there with Silas for More. Of course, we'll be coming out to see you again, I'm sure, locally.
Yeah,
Um,
they're fun.
Watching that moment of you being able to just, move around. I mean, the octave range is there, right? Just going from what you're talking about, from extremely low to just like, we were just like, oh my God. So those are the types of things, and then just having fun with it. I mean, I think, like you said, if it hurts, you're doing something wrong, and I think, doing like this interview, there's times I do interviews and I want to tell people, but I don't want to, intimidate anyone. But I've always been taught by my vocal coaches to make sure you're picking the right songs. Every song is not for everybody. Especially you could be the dopest writer, but it doesn't mean you should be writing that song for yourself. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, or you have to make whatever song your own.
Make it your own. Yeah, take it down a notch. Take it up a notch. So it's like, I totally get it.
Like rules too. Like it's just, I feel like people get things really, really complicated, and all that matters at the end of the day is, does it sound good, or does it feel good, or does it not? Yeah. And that's all that really matters.
Well, we brought you into an incredible sounding, feel good sounding song. One Way Mirror is incredible. I think I told you that.
Thank you so much, really.
Absolutely amazing sound. The vibe. I want to know more about the process, of course, and this amazing cover. Talk to me about the process of creating this hit, because that is what it is. It's a hit song.
Thank you. Well, it's funny. I sometimes tell this story at shows, but I remember when I was at Berkeley, I stay up to like crazy hours. I don't know why, I'm such a night owl, but anyway, there were practice rooms at the in the dorm room that I was staying in.
Yeah.
So I would always be playing by myself in one of the practice rooms till like 4 or 5 a.m. And I liked it because there would never be anyone else there, and I could just like focus and just write or do whatever I wanted. And I remember there's also this other kid in the practice rooms. It was like me and this other kid who just it would be like 4 or 5 a.m. and there'd be no one else, and there's like sort of like a glass door, so you can see the other people, and me and him, after a while, we're just kind of like, hey, what's up? Like, we'd acknowledge each other, but we didn't ever say anything.
Yeah.
Until one day he just came into my room and he was just like, hey. It was like 5 a.m. or something, and he was just like, I was like, hey. Want to jam? Like, want to play some music? And I was like, hell yeah, let's do it. And then we ended up becoming like really good friends. We lived together for like 2 years. But anyway, it wasn't right then and there, but we wrote One Way Mirror together. I remember he came up with the sort of guitar part, well, like the basic chords, and some like the bridge. And we both, wrote the lyrics and the melody and some of the other parts, and then we kind of collaborated. But shout out to Wesley Coleman. We both co-wrote that song together in practice rooms however many years ago.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I feel like I had so many just songs and different things from different points in my life in my back pocket, and I thought about that song one day. I was like, yeah, I should record that and release that. And
yes. Thank God that you did. I'm just like, oh my God. I love that song. I also like, I was listening to Wicked Games earlier.
I wish I could say that was my song, but
honey, listen, you're again making it your own, right? Just
thank you.
So emotional. I was just like, Jesus Christ, right? But I mean, it was just, again, another dope cover, but still a dope sound. I want to go back a little bit into what you talked about earlier with, of course, your father loving rock and you loving rock and roll. I mean, obviously, there's so many artists, of course, who we can attribute your, influence to. And I always like to say or ask anyone like yourself, because your sound, I don't like to compare, right? But if I had to, if I had to, there's so many. I mean, because I'm people don't realize I'm from, like, I don't want to say how old I am, but I am definitely into old school rock. I could take it all the way back to, obviously James Brown, you know what I'm saying? But the Beatles, go even further back for me, the Beatles, Kurt Cobain, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm totally into Teen Spirit, but when I was listening to your sound, you give me, and this is no joke, you give me Guns N' Roses. I mean, really.
This is for a long time.
Well, you give me Bruce Springsteen, you give, again, your range, right? And just energy. And then one of the big one who I really love, of course, is Aerosmith. So
I love Aerosmith.
I love Aerosmith, Christopher. Like, oh my God, like I can just listen to Aerosmith forever. And, even going back to that song they did, obviously, we know the big movie Armageddon. That was one of the big ones. Yeah. But who would you say, if you had to compare or just even creatively put yourself in the realm?
Yeah.
Who would you say? Inspired by and like?
Yeah. I would say I'm super inspired. Like for one of my favorite bands ever. I'll say my favorite band.
Yeah.
Is Alice in Chains. I love, like, Lane Staley was such a huge influence on me.
Yeah.
And so I wouldn't say I sound like him, but he was a really, really big influence to me. Another one, Mark Lanigan, who's actually happened to be friends with Lane Staley. They're kind of in the same sort of grunge movement back in the 90s. He's one person that I would say we have very similar, I guess, vocal range. Like, especially when I first started singing, I was kind of in the low baritone sort of range, and I didn't find many other singers like, people like James Brown or like Ed Sheeran or like, other tenors have very high voices. It was hard for me to find someone that had, in I guess the contemporary music realm, someone that had a similar, I guess, tessitura, range as me.
Yeah.
But so I would say Mark Lanigan, Lane Staley, and people have told me Brandon Boyd of Incubus. I guess I like kind of grungy pop rock. Is, I feel like, where my voice naturally tends to lend itself to. But I have tons of inspiration. I love blues. Like, I really, really, especially like my guitar playing, and for my guitar playing too, Slash. I was obsessed with Slash. Slash was such an influence for me, and I feel like a lot of guitar players kind of shit on Slash, or they say he's kind of not like I think that's bullshit. I think Slash is a phenomenal guitar player, and so and he was inspired by blues, and so I think that's really what made me look into all these old school, like, and I mean Stevie Ray Vaughan, and then B.B. King, and like a bunch of different people. But there's a new band called Rival Sons. They're not new. They're I guess they've been putting out music since 2009. But the vocalist Jay Buchanan was a recent, in the last few years, one of the few vocalists I feel like that I've heard that I was like, wow, that's something I want to be able to, even if I could do 25% of what he can do. That's because I feel like you have to have that inspiration. You have to hear something somewhere, even if it has nothing to do with what you're doing, to be like, open your eyes and like, wow, like that's insane. So I feel like the last few years, he's been a major influence. But yeah, kind of everything. If I hear something somewhere and I think it's cool, I'll be like, oh, I want to go explore that.
Absolutely. And that's definitely, again, that's all part of course, again, making it your own, right? We're getting it from somewhere. This business, of course, is forever inspired by something or someone, that created it before.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, and speaking of those things, I mean, you have had so much success already. And we're just talking about music so far. Jesus, we might have to do a part 2. Your interview. No, but I mean, just starting just with, of course, the success of even the sounds we're talking about, and along with, of course, 500,000 Spotify streams, and just being awarded for your sound, and then being a part of just amazing festivals internationally. Talk about when you're around these other artists, though, because I always ask this question. An artist like yourself is in the audience, you finish performing. What are you paying attention to when you're listening to another artist? What are you watching for?
It's a good question. I usually just feel the vibe, try to, I guess, see what they're all about, like what makes them unique. I feel like after hearing, so many bands, so much music, doing so many live events and stuff, there tend to be like boxes. So just trying to figure out, like, I guess now that I've done more marketing for myself and other things, I try to figure out sort of like, okay, what's the vibe of this band? That's one of the, I guess, the first things that naturally my brain goes to, but also like, the emotion, what emotions are they conveying? I try not to, well, I guess I don't really care too much anymore about like the technical stuff. If I get a vibe, if I think that what they're doing is cool, regardless of genre, regardless of I don't know, certain other things, I'll be like, okay, this like I'm into it. And I think I also take note of, especially like I'm always thinking about what I can improve on, and sometimes I'll see a band who's like, if they're like super tight, or if they do something really interesting that I haven't like, thought to do, I'll be like, oh, like, that's really cool. Or if they, are great performers. Sometimes there's artists that, even just like big touring acts that, you wouldn't think, like, I'm like, oh, okay, their music's pretty good. But then you see them live and it's like, oh, okay, now I really understand this band, because it's like the performance and it's like, everything. And so, I don't know, I kind of just sit back and take it in and enjoy it as much as I can.
I love that. Yeah, I always, especially obviously seeing both of you, when I saw both you and Silas Vermoy, shout out to those guys. Again, incredible. You obviously have an amazing synergistic vibe about yourself, just to be able to collaborate with others. We know that this is definitely a competitive industry, unfortunately. So I always talk about what I noticed about you when I first met you, and just, of course, seeing you up there with those guys on even at just that one song. Just your personality, but just now interviewing you, you're very balanced. And I think that's, very humbling to see someone like yourself with obviously just your background and just your performing, an active performer. Talk to me about balancing, because I was just watching something the other day, and I always ask this question. It was Billie Eilish, I think it was, and she was basically responding to, being at Coachella at an event. And, I think sometimes people compare everyone to Beyonce's last performance. Did you see that? It was on a talk show and they were like, oh, she's not Beyonce, but it's like, you don't have to prove yourself. And that's what, like I said, watching you, and just, again, because obviously I'm looking at you, I follow you on social media, that. And then I don't see any of that, where I see so many artists like trying to prove themselves. Talk about that, how important that is not to have to do that.
I think that everyone's so worried about everybody else, and they should be worried about themselves more. Like, I think that for me, Yeah, I see this as more than just like a competition of who's best or who's, you know, what, like that stuff doesn't really like matter to me in the way I feel like it matters to other people. Like for me, I'm usually just focused on, you know, everyone has their own lane. And so it's like, and you'll see it a lot of times, like people who find an artist they're really inspired by, and they'll try to be like the next Amy Winehouse. And it's like, no
Yes.
one's ever going to do Amy Winehouse better than Amy Winehouse because she was Amy Winehouse, you know?
Only
Like,
one.
there's almost no point to trying to all be the same, you know, person, and we're all fighting to be like this, whatever people are, you know. And so for me, I think it also helped that I had a like a like I had a weird voice, and I don't say that in a bad way before, you know. But I say that in a way that I wasn't really able
Yeah,
initially to sound like the people I thought I wanted to sound like, and
yeah,
so it forced me to just, all right, I'm just going to do my own thing and work it out. But yeah, I really do see a lot of people competing with each other, and you know, I understand where that comes from, but at the same time, I feel like there's, you know, not I don't really understand the point
yeah.
a lot
I,
of the time. And I think that community also, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you,
no, no, you're
but I'm actually am passionate about this. I think that like community
yeah,
is so important, and there's not like, we all look at it in this like, here is like the goal and we all have to fight to get to this. It's like the more people you help out,
mhm,
it's not taking away from you. You know,
that's
it's not like giving you fewer opportunities. It's
right.
like the more you are part of the community and help other people, the more opportunities that gets you. It's not this like just tangible thing. It's like this exponential thing, you know, this amount of people, and you're, you know, you're helping each other out, and then that grows to this amount of people, and then all of these people, and then it's just like this forever, you know, growing thing. And I think that people a lot of times think of it in this very like linear, like one dimensional kind of thing that growth is. And I think that it's really a community at the end of the day. It's all about who you know, the connections, the people around you, the relationships you have with people. And so I think
Yeah,
that's why I'm not really that interested in, you know, being being
proving yourself. Yeah, you're because you're soaring. I mean, like you're literally when people, you know, people, somebody do these emojis and these rocket ships and these planes because I do them a lot too. But I'm like literally seeing you like Jesus Christ in such a short time of me even just knowing and following. I mean, it's like you soar because you're not paying attention to what someone else is saying. And in that comment, when it went back, I just was like, oh. When I read it and saw her say that, she was like at the end of a show, she's like, sorry, I'm not Beyonce. It's like, you don't have to be. Like, girl, you are dope. I'm such a Billie Eilish fan. Like, girl, don't ever say something
they're
else.
both dope.
They're
Yeah.
super dope,
And
two
completely
total
different
different,
ways. Yeah.
yeah, two total different lanes. Like you said, like, you know, there's no traffic for either one of you. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So, but yeah, I love that about you. I just see everything that you're doing. And this is the time of the show that we talk about some of those things because you are, of course, a songwriter. I'd like to do, of course, wordplay with you. Wordplay is consisting, it could be, of course, a song title. It can be a paraphrase. It can be one word, two words together. No wrong or right. It's just the first thing that comes to your mind, Christopher, when I say it. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
I said this one earlier. One-way mirror.
What comes to my mind?
That's the first thing that comes to your mind.
One way mirror.
Mhm.
I think Joker, just because that's the kind of what the album cover ended up looking like, even though I didn't intentionally have that.
Literally, though, straight. Yeah, that's the
That's a
cover.
basic.
Super dope. So you said the Joker.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, that's good. That's good. The next one is endurance.
Exercise.
Interesting, because you exercised today. You did work out today, right?
I don't know. These are literally the first thing that comes to my mind. So I don't know. These are
Okay.
basic, boring answers.
All right, all right. Relentless.
Relentless. I think of work ethic.
Okay, I like that. Well, that's why I came up with that one. Yeah, because I mean, you're like all over the place, right? And humility.
Maturity.
Elaborate on that.
I think that everybody, I feel like humility is kind of the result of, learning about yourself. Like everyone goes through some phases, like, and everyone has all the normal spectrum of human emotion, like I feel like insecurity, and then sometimes people get, cocky. Like we all have moments in our life where we're both ends of those spectrum.
Yeah.
And learning how to be confident in something, and also like being intimidated by things in your life or people in your life. And I feel like humility is kind of a sign. Like when I see other people who are really humble, they usually seem like they've kind of rounded themselves out as people. Like they don't feel the need to go and tell people how awesome they are, because whatever they did, their work speaks for themselves. And I feel like the people that have to always tell everyone how awesome they are, like, tell versus show.
Yeah.
Like those kinds of people like must feel the need to constantly tell other people that, because, that's the only way they can make people believe that or something. Yeah. It's like,
that's crazy.
And it shows, and I don't blame them, because we've all, been through that kind of thing, I guess. I mean, I never really was one of those. I always, growing up and back in my day, I guess, I'm not like back in my, but like back when I was a kid, things were different than they are now. Like, I feel like there used to be there needed to be proof for things. Like if you said like, oh, I'm the best, people would be like, why are you, like, prove it to me? And if you didn't have anything to back it up, people were just like, oh, that's bullshit. But now it's the kind of thing where you post something on the internet, be like, I don't stand for this, or like whatever, and you don't have to have any kind of like you don't have to back it up at all. And so I think that this is going on a tangent. I just think that showing what you can do through just your actions and how you are as a person, rather than telling other people or being cocky or being others. I think that shows, first of all, confidence, and I think it also shows maturity. Like you've sorted yourself out as a person, and yeah,
exactly. Well, talk about this, because I think it's a very important question, and it's one of the most important questions for me to ask during an interview. Do you eat brown rice or white rice?
Not what I was expecting. When I want to be good, I'll eat brown rice. But I find that most of the time I end up eating white rice.
Yeah.
But, yeah. I didn't know that the reason that brown rice is healthier than white rice, I thought it was like some, molecular level thing, but it's actually, I don't know if you know, do you know?
Well, I started eating, obviously, because of course with bleach, things are, with sugar and all that, and like, but also I prefer brown rice more, just because I know it helps with heart disease, and it lessens the chance, because my grandmother had, heart failure and things like that. So I try to eat things that prevent heart disease, and but what's the actual?
Yeah, it's just as simple as the brown outer casing, because it takes longer for you to digest it because of that. And like with rice, I mean, it's mainly a problem if you eat like just straight white rice or something. It all just turns into sugar immediately in your body. Yeah. So, but with the brown outer casing, which is brown rice, it takes longer, so it doesn't all hit at one time. Like, does it evenly, and so there's less of a shock to your body. But it's just it's as simple as it just takes longer to digest.
Well, I've learned something new tonight. I mean, I had fact. Look,
It's a super random question, so I mean.
You see what I said? That's why this is a very important question to ask, you know?
Very important.
So you've had the opportunity, as we talked about earlier, you're just coming back from SoCal, but you've had the opportunity to perform many places. Do you have a favorite city or venue that you've performed in?
Yeah, well, I would say as of recently, my band did 2 shows at Milk Bar and Hate Street.
Yes,
And
yes.
that honestly, yeah, just like the energy, I feel like of everyone in the room both those times. And Milk Bar is awesome, and it's in a really great location.
Mm-hmm.
The sound is great, and so yeah, and I'm also fresh off playing that. We just played a show there this past Friday, so. But
Yeah.
I would say, yeah, it's a awesome venue. Every time we play there, and it's awesome. And so, yeah, I would say that.
Okay. How do you relax outside of performing? When you're relaxing, what does Christopher do to just not do anything at all? What is that for you?
Honestly, for me, I just like sitting in my bed and watching YouTube videos, just mindless, just something where I don't have to use my brain. I don't have to like think about stuff.
Yeah.
And it sounds kind of like a waste of time to some people, maybe, but I actually find it really, really crucial. There needs to be some moment, of my day, or if I don't get that, like, certain times of my week where I just need to like stop thinking or responding to emails or text messages or calls or whatever.
Yeah.
I just need to just not think about anything and just do whatever I want. And usually whatever I want is to do nothing. It's to just sit in bed and just chill out. And yeah, so I guess that's what I do.
And that's a way to re-energize, is it not?
Yeah, I think that's the right word, re-energize, because I really love what I do is what I do for fun. My work, performing, going, traveling, seeing awesome places, meeting new amazing people. So because that's the case, I feel like my downtime is usually the antithesis of that, and it's just kind of chilling out and doing a lot of nothing. I don't get to do a lot of nothing, but when I am doing nothing, it's a lot of nothing.
Yeah. I like that. I like doing a lot of nothing. Honestly, it's the best time for me to
So great.
to re-energize. I mean, people are like, how do you relax? Like when I just don't do nothing, I'm just like, I'm a movie head. I'm a really big, like I would sit and watch Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
You like you said, YouTube, Netflix. I just sit there and like I'll watch probably like 3 or 4 movies all like in 4 or 5 hours.
Even if you've seen the movie a million times, you're just like, feels like home to me. It's like I can just sit back and just enjoy it.
Yeah, literally. That's what I've been doing like the last every weekend. I've watched Aretha Franklin's movie with by Jennifer Hudson, which is incredible. Yeah. Oh my God, if you haven't seen it, it's the story.
I heard about it. Yeah.
Packed into 2 hours, but I mean, when I say she did an incredible job, it's incredible. And I think I've watched it 6 times.
Oh, nice. I have to check it out. Yeah, Jennifer Hudson has an incredible voice.
Ooh, vocals.
Have you heard her national anthem?
No.
Her and Whitney Houston's national anthem.
Oh, well, we know Whitney Houston. I mean, yeah. Absolutely incredible. Yeah, I listen to Whitney Houston a lot. I haven't mastered any of her songs. And I won't sing a Whitney Houston song until I master. That's just the respect level for me, And that's just me, No, Talk to me about Christopher KENJI, the model.
This is something that I'd never thought I would ever do in my life. I just yeah, there we go. Yeah, it was a really random thing that I got thrown into. I guess I technically got scouted in LA a few years ago, and I got thrown into it, and it was one of those things where it was never really my dream. Like, I know there's other people whose dream it is,
Mhm.
And that's what they wanted from day one, like how I am about music. But like for me, modeling was just something that came out of sort of nowhere.
Yeah.
And it at the time, I feel like my music wasn't really doing much. And
Yeah.
so modeling was this thing that came out of nowhere. And for some reason, you know, because I try so hard with music and try, you know, I guess that time wasn't the time that my music was supposed to do what it's doing now. But modeling was this thing that came out of nowhere and just for some reason was just always working out, and I never even saw it coming. And then yeah, I feel like that was actually weirdly one of the ways that got my music sort of back on track, is because it was a way to get people to give a shit about my music. And it was a way to, I don't know, because a lot, it's, I used to think about it as just the music, and I really wish that all it had to be was just the music. You know, I can just focus on writing, you know, and it's just you listen to it and that's all you need. But in this world, this modern world we live in, there's like, you know, you have to be, you know, for promo shots, you need to be able to model for, you know, your music videos, you need to be able to have some level of acting
Yep.
with, you know, everything, album artwork, being able to, yeah, even have interviews like this, like know how to talk to the camera and not fumble over your words and have people not understand what you're saying, which is I'm still working on. But I don't know, there's so many different avenues, and your image, what you look like, is such a thing for you. Because if I sang the same stuff I do now, but I was in like sweatpants and clearly didn't care at all, I mean, it would be a different vibe. Maybe it would work, but like,
Yeah.
I don't know. It helps. It can only help you if you're in touch with how you're presenting yourself while also performing, and all the different. It's kind of like this full circle thing. It's like the music is the center, and everything around it is how you get people to care about your music.
Absolutely.
People understand
Absolutely.
your music and where you're coming from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What does peace mean to you?
Peace means me sitting on my bed and doing nothing.
I think I already said this already.
Peace, I don't know. I think peace means just like being able to just be.
Yes.
You know, you don't have like things on your mind. You're like, oh, I need to do this. Oh, this thing is something that's like stressing me out, or oh, like I have to get back to this person, or this, you know, this person said something that annoyed me today, and like I'm thinking about it, or oh, I wish I did something differently, or that I didn't do. You know, it's peace is where you're just like, I don't care.
I
I'm
love that.
I'm
What's,
existing.
yeah. What's your sign? Your zodiac sign?
I'm a Sagittarius.
Oh yes, honey. Unbothered. Look,
How about you?
I was gonna say yeah, unbothered. Yeah, is it November or December?
I'm November 24th.
Okay.
In 94, if you can see that.
Okay, so any special plans? Obviously, it'll be here before you know it. This year is flying like crazy.
I want to plan like a birthday show or something where I'm doing music. Because the last few years I didn't do anything by decision.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, and it was sort of COVID, but yeah, I have some venues talking to me about, you know, if doing a birthday show or something, or holiday shows. I was like, that'd be fun, you know, be doing my favorite thing in the world on my birthday. Like,
Yeah.
I think that'd be good. So
I,
maybe that I have yet to see, but yeah.
I think that would be dope. Are you neat, Christopher? Or are you messy?
I'm messy.
Oh,
Yeah. So right now I have a manager and agent and some other people who are who I've finally acquired to hopefully help keep my shit together. Because I keep it together, but it takes so much effort.
Yeah.
Other people
Yeah.
can be organized. They can wake up at this time, do this thing, do the one after the other. For me, I'm able to do it, but it just like my natural state wants me to just like not not be tied to things. So I guess I guess
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, it's not easy. I mean, you're doing a lot. So, I mean, just imagine a person just every time, coming home and, obviously preparing. I'm not even talking about the house, but just doing
Yeah.
everything a lot, like you said, for yourself, marketing, hello, performing, acting, modeling. It's a lot. So, again, kudos to you. Okay. I'm looking at, of course, and you'll see this shortly, summer fog comes to mind. as we come out of this incredible summer that we're almost done with. Talk to me about the process of this amazing sound and, of course, the creation of this visual.
So that one actually has a crazy story for the song. I remember that was the first, I will say it's the first song I wrote that I didn't hate. And I I remember when I wrote it, there's this it was called the New Song Music Competition, and it's like a big international music contest, songwriting contest, and I submitted it to that, and actually was a top 10 West Coast finalist for this that contest. And there's if I got to the next round, I'd be performing at Lincoln Center in New York. This is back in 2014, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And I was stupid and decided to go for the next round. I had the option to either keep using Summer Fog or use a different song that I wrote, and for some reason I was like, I'm gonna go with this different song that I I don't even remember anything about it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But not that that would have necessarily made me win or whatever. But
Right.
anyway, so I remember that happened. That was all good, and I was happy about that. And then for some reason, I just kind of got bored of the song. As an artist, sometimes you hear a song, play it so many times that you end up being like, all right, I'm kind of done
Done
with
with it.
it now. And
Yeah.
so I put it. I actually I recorded it with part of the stuff you hear is from this recording session I did in 2015 with my old professor from Berkeley.
Wow.
And I recorded the guitar part on this 1928 Gibson acoustic guitar. That's really old rustic sounding guitar. And then some of the like the shaker and some of the other stuff was all from that session. And then I had it basically that version of the song finished, and then I just put it on the shelf for like 3 years and didn't do anything with it. And I actually did another sort of music video before this. Before I was Christopher KENJI as my brand and stuff, I had this old project and filmed a music video with this production team, who's now my production team, and they that went well. But they're like, okay, we want to make like a real music video. They're like, do you have any songs that you would think that would be good? And for some reason, Summer Fog just popped in my head in that moment, and I was like, yeah, I think Summer Fog would be. And I showed them the song. The director of my music video, Guillermo, shout out to Guillermo. But he was like, okay, and I sort of told him, I wrote the song initially about leaving my hometown of the Bay Area for first time to live somewhere else, which was when I lived in Boston for 4 years. I wrote it in Boston. It was kind of reflecting about the time that I was here, just that last moment, or the last time you'll be this version of yourself.
Wow.
Because I knew I was going to be a different person when I came back home. So it was kind of like a goodbye letter to my childhood hometown and the child that grew up in it. And but knowing that I was going to be a different person, it was going to be great when I came back. And I am back, and it's great. But so that was kind of the idea behind the music video, and he took that and ran with it, and basically had multiple different storylines of people overcoming something that was going to be, change their life and be difficult, but then they come out stronger for it. And so we recorded this music video back in 2019, and that's where I re-recorded the vocals, re-recorded, bass and a bunch of the other stuff. And so it's me singing 2019, me singing over 2015 guitar in the song. And we recorded the violin by Lily Lyons. She recorded that back at the old session, and then there's some new stuff. I mixed it back in, and then so we filmed this, and then COVID happens like that next year, and so everything got delayed, and we basically, yeah, it took from the point I wrote it to the point I finally released the song and the music video. It took 7 whole years.
Oh my God, Christopher!
So it was a huge just journey for this song, and we basically. Yeah, I mixed it down finally early 2021. I had the finished version of it. And then, yeah, so that was, I guess, start to finish. And then this music video came out after, like in 2021. And so.
But timeless, though. You know what I'm saying? And that's what music, of course, and that's obviously what the journey is all about. You know, I mean, if you're creating something that is forever, we don't know what year it was written and created or anything. Obviously,
yeah, the final product.
It's timeless, you know.
Yeah, and each song and each story. Oh, sorry, I interrupted you.
No, you're fine. So, say what you're gonna say.
Oh, I was just saying that. No, I was agreeing with you, and I think that each song, like no song of mine, will probably ever have that same journey again. You know, or no, every song is unique, and you don't ever hear the final, or you don't ever hear all the process. You just see that final, you know, finished product.
Well, it's amazing. It's a transition, and I wouldn't know the story, obviously, if you weren't here to tell it. So I thank you for sharing that. Well, I could talk to you, of course, all night, but then you wouldn't be able to get back in your bed and do nothing. So
Fair point.
That came out a little interesting. Oh my God, I can't believe it.
No, I fully agree with it.
But in closing, I just want to say to you, well done so far. You know, you are an incredible artist. I'm so glad, of course, to know you. And I am so glad to see what is coming next. So what I want you to do, of course, for everyone, aside, of course, from Instagram, share with everyone, of course, on IG where we can find you, you know, obviously across all platforms where everyone can find your music, these incredible visuals, and anything else you want to share with us.
Well, thank you, first of all, so much for having me and for taking the time out of your day to do this and the interest, kind words. But yeah, so Christopher KENJI, Instagram, Christopher KENJI, Spotify, Christopher KENJI, TikTok, and Christopher KENJI. I think Facebook, Christopher KENJI Official, and Twitter, the Chris KENJI.
Yes.
And ChristopherKenji.com is my website, official website. But yeah, again, to everyone watching this, thank you. Yeah, I just feel grateful.
Wonderful. Well, if you're watching this, of course, right now, you have just witnessed greatness, episode 135 with Christopher KENJI. This, of course, is the face behind the brand. I am your host, Monique Marie. Go ahead, if you haven't already, push that button and subscribe so that you can see and witness more interviews like this and indulge yourself in incredible dialogue. I appreciate you so much for watching. Peace.
Turn away, and then comes that same familiar bitter taste that splinters down my spine.